I'm an investor entrepreneur with well over $1 million in net worth. Let me teach you how to start investing with as little as $100. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a brokerage account. I'm not saying any one of these is specific. I like Charles Schwab personally, but there's Charles Schwab, there's Fidelity, there's Vanguard, there's a whole bunch of other ones that you can invest through as well. So when I open this account, I have a couple of options. Basically, I can either have a taxable account, so there's no tax advantages to it. So if I make money, I have to pay taxes. There's something called an IRA, an individual retirement agreement, that has multiple tax advantages to it. So I would prefer that over the taxable account if I'm planning to keep that money there for a long period of time. And if you have an employer, they may or may not offer a 401k, a 403b, or something along those lines. So if I have a retirement account, any of these IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, I have a choice to make. I can make Roth contributions or traditional contributions. This will not be an option in a taxable account. So for the Roth, basically the benefit here is I put money in after I've paid taxes on it, but whatever it grows, that grows tax-free. So if I make withdrawals at 59 and a half years or older, I don't have to pay any taxes, don't have to pay any penalties. There's no required minimum distributions when I'm in my 70s. So there's some benefits there. I can also use up to $10,000 of the earnings as a down payment for my house. And if the account's been open for 5 years, there's no 10% penalty. You can also withdraw the principal, the money that you put into it, tax-free and penalty-free because you've already paid taxes on it. The traditional version is effectively you don't pay any of the taxes today, and the account grows without taxes being taken out. But when you do take the money out of the account, you will have to pay income tax on it. And if you withdraw it before the age of 59 and a half years, you will pay a 10% penalty. There's certain conditions you can get out of that if different laws get changed depending on how bad of a situation it is in the US. 2, you're going to fund the account. So you're going to just move the money from your bank to whatever the brokerage account is or the IRA. And generally this takes about 3 to 5 days to clear. There's some limits. If you do it into an IRA, that's about $7,000 in 2025. And you do it at these, you're limited to $23,500. This is assuming that you're not in your 50s or 60s, because then you get additional money you can put in there. And if you have a taxable account, there's no limit to how much money you can put in there. Just be aware that the accounts are only insured up to a certain limit, generally about $500,000. But if you're putting $100 in, that's not really a concern. After these funds clear, you're going to pick your investments. So you're going to base these on your goals. So do you have high risk, low risk? Are you looking to use the money in less than 5 years, more than 5 years? Those need to be taken into account. If I need the money in potentially less than a year, so let's say this is an emergency fund, I want to have access to that, so I'll put that in a high yield savings account or a CD. Generally speaking, at the moment, we get around 4% for these. So you're still earning a little bit of money. You're still keeping up with inflation or a little bit above inflation. If I need the money in 1 to 5 years, I'm going to look at, a CD ladder, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year CDs. I'm going to look at maybe bonds and potentially keep it in high yield savings depending on what I need it for. So anything more than 5 years, I'm thinking about stocks, exchange traded funds, mutual funds. Just be aware, watch out for fees. Some of these things will cost up to 2% for an actively managed fund or ETF. Look out for that, because that 2% fee compounded over 40 years taken away from your earnings effectively takes away more than half of all the money you could have earned. The two that I'm going to talk about now, if you notice, the fee is 0.015% and 0.06%. There's a good reason for that, and that's because it does compound over time. Now, assuming that we already have our emergency fund, and that's mostly in cash and CDs, which is earning some return of maybe about 4% at the moment. So we're good there. We're going to then take and invest mostly in the S&P 500, about 90%, or the first $90 of $100. So I primarily invest in the S&P 500 effectively. And some things that follow that index would be SPY, VOO. This is a mutual fund. This is FXAIX that also follows the S&P 500 with a very low fee. And the beauty of this is you can invest $1 at a time. So you don't have to buy huge shares that might be $500, $600 a share. You could just buy in dollar increments. So you can actually buy $90 $1 increments of this. And with the S&P 500, that's going to include companies that you should be aware of. Don't invest in anything that you're not aware of what the underlying asset is. So this is going to be the top 500 companies in the United States. This is going to include Apple, Microsoft, Meta, what used to be Facebook. There's Google, there's Amazon, there's Tesla, Nvidia. You're going to have Visa, MasterCard. You're going to have Ford. There's so many different companies here, and it's across many different sectors of the U.S. economy. It actually makes up about 80% of the entire stock market. So this is a decent mix of at least the larger companies in the U.S. The other 10%, I'm going to put that $10 in an international fund, which is here. The reason for that is this includes a couple hundred companies as well outside of the U.S. Those are things that you would also be fairly familiar with. So you're going to have Unilever, Nestle, basically, if you like cocoa and stuff like that. Airbus, if you go flying on a plane and it's not Boeing or Lockheed Martin, it's usually Airbus. You have Rolls-Royce. They make the engines that go into aircraft. There's a bunch of different companies in there. The next big topic is, do I use dollar cost averaging or do I try to time the market? So people, when they're starting out, they try to think that they can outsmart the market. It doesn't work well. So what I propose is I like dollar cost averaging. Basically, the reason is that you are a long-term consistent investor. It doesn't matter what you're investing. Maybe it's, $10 a week, $100 a week, whatever that might be, $1,000, whatever that might be. You want to grow that and be consistent in your investing pattern. The reason I like dollar cost averaging, it takes the emotion out. Emotion is what leads to a lot of losses for investors. So if I'm a long-term consistent investor and I'm doing this time and time again, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. That's inevitable. It happens. I want to build the habit, basically like going to the gym, where if I'm lifting weights, the first time I lift weights, if I lift something heavy and walk away, I don't really have any growth. But if I do it consistently, day in, day out, for a long period of time, you will start to see a difference. Whereas if I do it once and it's sporadic, there's not really much of a consistent, pattern going on. So you might not see as much growth. So that's dollar cost averaging. Now, if I'm timing the market, basically, I have to worry about controlling my emotion. So as the stock market's plummeting, people are like, oh no, oh no, oh no, I don't want to lose money. I'm going to sell. But by the time they sell, the market's already moved a certain distance. So they sell here, let's say. And the market goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And then they're like, well, I don't know if it's going to keep going up, so I'm going to wait and see what happens, because they think it's going to pull back a couple of times. And then all of a sudden, look back to 2020, it went up. And by the time people realized that it was actually going to continue going up, they bought at a higher price than what they sold. So they sold low and they bought high. Effectively, they lost out on whatever that difference was. And just so you know, 90% of actively traded funds lose out and underperform compared to the S&P 500 over a 20-year period. Now, in a down year, they may outperform the S&P 500 for a year or two, but over a long duration, and generally when I'm investing, I'm not thinking of a year or two. I'm thinking about, 20, 30, 40 years from now, what do I want to have? By using dollar cost averaging, I'm buying it goes cheaper. Hey, guess what? It's kind of like toilet paper. If toilet paper is half price, I don't go, oh no, I got to sell off all my toilet paper. I go, I'm going to just load up on more toilet paper, for example. So I buy it at a cheaper price. Oh, it went even cheaper. That's great. I can even buy more of it. So I buy up more stock at now potentially 20, 30% off, and it goes up a little bit. I'm still buying. As it goes up, I buy more. It goes down, I buy more. I keep buying. So when you invest, think of it this way. You're not just buying a piece of paper and trading it, or it's some digits on a computer. You're buying a business. And if you believe that that business will make more money and will sell goods and services and will be, valuable in the future, you buy it. And if you don't think that it's going to do well, or it's not providing the goods and services that you would like it to offer, effectively sell it. That's basically investing. Being that I'm picking the top 500 companies in the United States to invest in, and I'm picking the top international companies of the world, I think between them, they're going to make money. Businesses tend to make money, especially large corporations, on average. Some will go out of business, but most of them generally continue to increase in value. And as inflation goes up, basically their prices go up and then they make more money. So that's why I use dollar cost averaging, and it's worked out well for me. I have over $1 million net worth from doing this over the past 15 years. If you're interested in learning more about how to invest, how to make more money, how to save money, please subscribe. I cover a lot of these topics. I'm also an entrepreneur, and I cover how to start businesses for less than $1,000 and limit your risk. There's a whole wealth of information. It's all for free. I also have a Discord where I talk to people personally, and that's free of charge as well. So if you're interested, please subscribe and have a great day.